You didn't know me, no, girl. God bless you. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Well, how are you? Look at this. Well, perhaps only a couple of days ago, people were skating on that. And last night we had enough rain. I had set some snares there the other week, and I caught a few trout last night. I know. Well, how are you doing? Here we are now. It is Christmas Day. My God, isn't it hard to believe? Let's just size it up, shall we? How quickly it goes. Because, I mean, I know we all talk about this, and we talk about how I'm sitting down this morning. Look, hang on, I'll show you. I got a little bench here and everything that needs to be painted. This is Peter Carley's bench that they placed here in front of my Aunt Betty's house. Anyway, and my Uncle Billy, two different families. But anyway, we talk about how quickly it goes, and it really does. And as I said last week, it's because, I think it's because of the anticipation, and we just make things so busy, and seeing people and that sort of thing, trying to eat every single thing we can while it's still Christmas. Last night I saw this picture of a seal who looked like it was blown up with an air balloon, that sort of thing, and said, listen, it's your fault that you've been saying, what odds, sure, it's Christmas since mid-November. And I said, fair enough. Really, that is what we've been saying, it's Christmas. And that started way back in November. No wonder we got a bit of weight on. But you know what? It's a new year. And so we'll crack on now, and we'll do a little bit of exercise, and we'll cut back on the nighttime eating, and then you're back to where you were. Isn't it marvelous how the body reacts to everything? So, how was your New Year's? That's the question at hand. I had a lovely New Year, a lovely New Year's Eve. I should say it was beautiful and not too raucous, and crazy, but crazy enough, and food involved enough. Where you go to bed and you think, I might have eaten too much. As I told you, I don't drink, but I can eat. By God, I can give anyone a run for their money. So anyway, New Year's Eve was wonderful. And now here we are, old Christmas Day. And tell me, uh, do you celebrate old Christmas Day? Do you do that anymore? Because I think years ago we used to have something, but I don't think it was that sort of exciting where you thought everything got to stop. It's old Christmas Day. I think we just sort of said, well, okay, it's old Christmas Day, and we'll have something. Do you do it? I don't know. I don't know if people do that anymore, or even if people know it's old Christmas Day. So anyway, so today now will be my last little video for a while, not for a long while now. I'm not going to desert you altogether, because I told you last week that I'm going to tell you what I've gained over these past many weeks, 40 weeks, and that is, when I first started doing these little walks, it was in March last year, and I started because COVID was starting to ramp up. And anyway, because of that, I didn't cancel, rather, I postponed my online show. Do you remember that? I had an online show scheduled for March 25th, and I postponed it to April 15th because people who were in my band didn't really feel comfortable being together, not being vaccinated, and not wearing masks. And if my thought is, if you're giving a show, I don't want to see your mask. I want to see your beautiful smile. So I postponed it to April 15th. And at at that time, so in March, I decided, what, the easiest way to do this to make sure that people get it is I'll do a live video, and I will tell people then that I'm going to postpone it to April 15th and get your tickets, hopefully. And so, anyway, that's what I did. And my friend Marie Kiley called me, and she said, Sheila, She said, you should do that every day now. I said, do what? She said, you should have, one of these walking videos every day. She said, because, Jane Arden does that. I said, does she? Knowing I knew it's Jan. Uh, but anyway, I didn't want to correct her because she is my mom's friend, so she is 80, I think. And anyway, I said, does she? I think she's a bit more than that. But anyway, we won't let on that to her. And she said, oh, yeah, Jane is very popular. She said, and Jane will talk for 20 minutes or more. And, she'll go around, around her garden with her little dog. She said, get out your little dog. And she said, go around your garden. And Jane talks about controversial things as well. She's marvelous. Do you know her? Do you know Jane Arden? I said, oh, yes, yes, I know Jane. Yeah, yeah. I said, she's lovely. She's a wonderful singer. She said, yeah, well, you should do it now. And so, anyway, I took the ball on the hop, as mom says. And I thought, you know what? If Jane Arden can do it, so can I. And so I cracked on and I did it. And so I started in, every week I would do this. And after a while, so what happens is when I ask questions or some people will just comment and like anyway, which I appreciate that. People don't realize how important those things are, but those things are an act of goodwill and you don't even realize it. Do you know what I mean? If you like a post, then you are affirming someone else's post. You're affirming their being. And so when people comment or react, then I'm thinking, okay, now I'm creating relationships. And so anyway, every week I then it started off that it would only be a couple of minutes. And then all of a sudden it was 6 minutes. And I thought that might be too long. Yeah, that's too long. And my friend Deborah Smith said, Sheila, is a bit long. And I thought, okay, you know what? You know what I need? And so I began then to think, I need a beginning, middle, end. That's what I need. And so I was going along thinking about this. And then all the while, I'm creating friendships, and learning about people all over the world. There are people who tune in from Boston and tune in from Kentucky. I have a friend now in Sparwood, BC, Hayden, who, his generosity has just been extraordinary. And, all because he's been tuning in and saying good morning to me. And this gal in Ottawa also, Chantel O'Driscoll, she's from the Ghouls. And so, she connected with me as well. And there's a woman, Maureen Haskell, I think, and Patricia Lawrence. And there was a couple of weeks, Eleanor McCarthy, I see you now. There were a couple of weeks where Patricia Lawrence didn't comment. And I thought, my God, don't suppose there's anything wrong with her. And so I thought I better check. And then I thought, I wonder, am I in the will? I'm just joking. Anyway, so I texted her. I sent a message and said, Patricia, hi, it's Sheila Williams. I haven't seen you in a couple of, I was worried. So the thing is that this has created relationships for me. And, I went across the island and I did an island tour for Christmas. And that tour sold out. And it's because I had created these relationships online with those people, and I feel so blessed for this. So thank you for that, because it really is wonderful. So if you're watching this morning, or whenever you watch, uh, here's what I want you to do. First, I want you to like the page, my page. I'm in a gold dress, like that, so that you don't miss, because I will be coming back and forth periodically before I come right back to do it all again. But anyway, and I'll do a little post. My mom's anniversary of her death is coming up in February 1st. So I'll definitely post something about that. I don't know if I'll come on live, but I'll post something. And anyway, so like my page, but also tell me in the comments where you are from, because I want to have a sense. I know how old you are. I know because on Facebook they have this insight thing which tells you, oh, you know what, 80% of your audience are female, and 20% are male. So come on, boys, crack on. And then it tells you the age group. But I know because I asked you and you told me. So thank you for that. Now, anyway, so before that gets on and too boring, I'll tell you a little story. The other day I was talking to my cousin Sherry years ago. Let me give you the back view. Look how pretty that is. Isn't that pretty in the background? You know, I grew up here and still live here. But anyway, years ago, Mom went to Florida, and she would often go. And anyway, I guess she was 70 when this happened. And so we were talking about it, and she said, Sheila, look, honey, don't be talking. She said, I went down to Walgreens and I propped up. She said, I was stood up in the line waiting, for a prescription. Mom was very, her stature, posture rather, was excellent. And so she said, I was stood up and I was waiting for the prescription. I happened to glance Betty, her sister, my aunt, out of the corner of my eye. And Betty was over looking at something like this. And she said, I wonder what she's looking at. And Betty was sizing it up so intently. And Mom leaned out then, looking. And Betty also was in her 70s. And so finally she said, I got out of the line. I went over. You know what it was? I said, well, she said, a great big power wall, a 4x8 of condoms. Well, she said, I nearly died. She said, I said to Betty, who's married, as if she's shopping for them. She said, Betty, for the love of Jesus, honey, get away from them before someone thinks you're buying it. I laughed. I had never, she said, looking at a great big power wall of French safes. Now, I never knew French safes until Mom, years ago, she said, darling, when the war was on, she said, we would go for a little walk with Mom, her mom. And she said, and we would go down Tobin's Road there in Kilbride. That's where Mom grew up. And so she said, and we'd all have our little matching coats on. She said, and Mom would have her dress on. And if they ran out, what they would do is they'd run up curtains, and if they had extra material, they'd run up a couple of dresses for themselves. And so that must have been nice, going around in the matching dresses that matched the drapes. But anyway, she said we go down Tobin's Road, and that was the road where the people would go to park. And get their skin and such. It was like the Burnt Hills for us. And so anyway, Tobin's Road in Kilbride. I don't know if it's still very active. If you're looking for a spot, go and try that out. But anyway, she said, as we would walk along, we would see these French safes on the ground. Now, we thought they were balloons. And so she said, she said, we go to pick them up. And she said, for the love of Jesus, no. She said, no, Dad, no, Ducky. She said, Mom would say, and pointing to the ground, no, Ducky, no, don't touch those. Those are poison balloons. Because she said it was around the time of the war. Those are poison balloons that they drop from the sky. She said, so don't touch those, Ducky, because you get poisoned. I'm going to tell you what, these are the stories that we will lose if we don't keep telling them. So, if you have stories like this, share them with your children, because these are the important stories. So anyway, I will tell you one more now before I go, and that is that a couple of weeks ago, we had this fella come into the home, he and his wife. And anyway, they were elderly and they had been living on their own. And, with COVID, they were trying to get in because they'd gone to the doctor. The doctor says you need care. And so he said, so anyway, I'm going to put you on the list and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, doctor said, listen, early on, he said, before they got to such a stage, they said, what you need to do, because you're starting to forget things, you need to write it down. And we could all benefit from this. Write it down. Write a little list. It gives your head a break. And so anyway, he said, yes, okay. So he said, if you're going to the kitchen, write down while you're going, which to me seems a little overkill. But anyway, so the husband and wife, it was Myrtle and Frank, were sat down in the living room. She said, I'm going to go out now and I'm going to get a nice ice cream. And he said, well, write it down. And she said, no, I'll remember it. She said, do you want anything? He said, yes. Yes, he said, I'll have an ice cream as well. She said, "You want whipped cream?" Yes. He said, "Write it down." She said, "I don't need to write it down." Anyway, he said, "Put a few nuts on it as well, will you, Mert? And some of that squeezy stuff. What do they call that? Chocolate syrup." And she said, "Yes, yeah, that'd be nice. That's what I'll do." And he said, "Write it down." She said, "I don't need to write it down." Anyway, she was gone for 20 minutes. Next thing, she came back with the bacon and eggs. And he said, "Where's the toast?" I know. Both of their heads were gone. God love them. Now, listen to me. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful couple of weeks. I don't know when I'll see you next, but it won't be long because I'll miss you. I'll miss the positive reinforcement too, because you've been wonderful. You know, I was saying to my friend yesterday, Dana Parsons, I was saying, because things are not looking that great. We've been going around trying to be upbeat and trying to be sporty about it, and thinking, oh, we're come to the end. I know we're come to the end. We feel this, everyone's doing the right thing. Next thing we're getting 500 cases a day. And here's the thing about this. I said it last year. It's sort of insidious, isn't it? Where we think we're doing okay, and then all of a sudden we're feeling depressed. Uh, Take care of yourself. This is the point at hand. Have a little laugh when you can. Mind the poison balloons. Don't ever touch those. Uh, you know, be good to you, and I will see you soon. And love to you. Thank you for everything.